Well, well, hello, and how are we all doing? I'm Cassandra B, and this is Midlife Talks with me. All right, that little glitch there for a second, but I think we're all good to go now. Just gonna make sure that we have gone live on all screens. Ah, yes, we have. Lovely, lovely, lovely. Let's get on with it. So, midlife, I yesterday the last 5 episodes. So we're on episode 5. All right, let's get on with it. Midlife is not a crisis, it's an awakening. One of the biggest myths our culture tells us it's that somewhere around our late 30s or early 40s that people suddenly fall apart. We even gave it that name of midlife crisis. But what if it isn't a crisis at all? What if this crisis is actually something much deeper, an awakening, because something is very real happens in human life. Ooh, this feels like I'm really close up. Give me a second here. Sorry, guys. My other camera was there. We go. Oh, that shows my. I'm also on YouTube and I'm on Facebook Live at both at the same time. And Facebook Live is a small camera. YouTube shows my whole bedroom energy, so it's a little different. Anyway, let's get on with it. So there is an energy that happens. Around our 38 to 42 of all of this stuff that starts shifting because something really it happens planetarily, it happens energetically. There's all of these things that even in our DNA, literally, there's a shift. Our hormone shift. Everything around the ages to 38 to 42 is where we start transitioning into a new space. And this is so often it comes across as a crisis because the first half of our life, we are building our identity. We are building our careers, our relationships. We are building our families. We build stability. But often these choices are shaped by our expectation, our culture, our survival, our need to belong. All of these happen, and we go about it from the time we're born. We are honed and into the creation of our parents, of our siblings, of those that are around us, right? It's that nature versus nurture energy of which one is more dominant. Is it your DNA or is it the scenario you live in? And both actually are true. So when we get into this space around 38 to 42, this midlife moment, because that is actually midlife, where so many people think it's 50. Many of us are not living to 100, right? So midlife is really around the 40 mark. So choices that have been shaped by our expectation, our culture, our need for survival, what we've been told we are supposed to do, something happens and we begin to feel this tight, uncomfortable, things that once made us feel good and really positive all of a sudden start to feel misaligned. So well, that's maybe a little better. So these all start to feel misaligned. The relationship dynamics begin to shift. The life path that once felt certain suddenly feels like it's asking deeper questions. So many people think this means something is wrong, but in reality it's more like something is waking up in you, something is starting to shift. So this is and at this time in our life, these cycles are almost like a cosmic timing transition shift. Wake up, tower breaks, everything around you starts to go crazy and you're like, what is going on? The planet Uranus takes about 84 years to travel around the sun. So at around 40 to 42, it reaches this point directly opposite to the moment you were born. So Uranus represents awakening, freedom, authenticity. So are you actually living your life or the life you were conditioned to build? Right? So are you living the life that's meant for you, or are you living the life that everybody around you has honed you, right? Everybody in your family wants you to be a doctor because we need a doctor in the family, or we're all doctors, so you need to be a doctor, or, whatever that aspect of it is. we can get shaped and honed into something that goes, this does not feel like me at all. There is nothing about this that feels right, that feels true, that, and so then all of a sudden these things start to go, this doesn't feel right. This doesn't feel like me. This feels like something, and you may have gone to school and all those things, and you're like, okay, I've just put all this time into my schooling, into all of these things, and now I'm sitting there going, well, what the heck? It's actually not what I want to do with the rest of my life. This is not actually what is bringing me joy or what I dreamt of as a child, or, all of those things. So this is why people suddenly feel like the urge to break the pattern, to change direction, to reclaim parts of themselves that were buried deep inside, because there's a moment you are literally looking from the shadow side of your birth going, so this is what we've done up to now, eh? Is that it? Is that what we're doing? Is this what we came here to do? Is this who we're meant to be? Is this really where I want to be in my life and where I want to go forward? That happens, and it's planetary. It's literally the looking at it from a place where you were born in the planets, in all of that energy. So it's not just some made up idea in your head. This is literally a point that is opposite to when you were born, for you to really take a look at, are you actually living the life you were meant to? Are you living the life that is meant that you have always dreamt of? Or did somewhere along the way, did things get a little bit screwed up and not quite true? Or you started, or did you go into, maybe you went totally the opposite way, and you went, I'm not going to do anything my parents wanted me to do, because that would be like, oh my gosh, no way, not doing it. So you go and do all of these other aspects of your job, and then all of a sudden you're sitting there at 40 going, huh, crap. So I did everything against what everybody said I should be doing, and I did it only to go against what they wanted, because I was in the shadow aspect of who my truth is. So all of those things can be true at the same time. So just look at what that looks like for you when you turned 40, what went on for you. I can tell you, when I turned 40, so when I turned 38, like in my late 30s, you start to, we all start to, sink into ourselves and come into a little different space. We start to go, okay, I'm no longer 20, because somehow the minute you leave 20s, you're all of a sudden adult, right? You're like, you've had your teens, now you're 20s, now you're in your 30s, and people are going, oh, I hit a sun's mark. Now that you're going, okay, you've got to do something with your life. You're 30 years old. Oh my gosh, why aren't you, right? That energy comes in. And at this time, we've usually had marriages, children, all of that energy. So then we come into this point where we start going, okay, what is it that I want for myself, other than just being a wife and a mother, or a husband and father? What is it that I want for my life? And this starts to really wake up in our 30s. And by the time we're 40, we're going, okay, hold it a second. I have done the first 40 years of my life for everybody else, good, bad, or ugly. And now you're standing here going, is this really what I want for myself? Is this really, So for me, in my 30s, I opened a store. I closed a store just as I hit 40. And then 40 hit. And let's see, during that time, my house burnt down. My son got in a horrible accident. My daughter divorced. What else? Best friend, house burnt, son got in an accident, daughter got divorced. The whole, we moved, everything just spiraled completely out of control. Business closed, literally everything kind of collapsed as I came into my 40s. And I think it had to go into such a big collapse because I was walking such a path that I had created under assumptions and illusions, and to go against what was best, and to also, because of some of that dreamy aspect, and also to that ego and shadow and all of those kind of things. So, and it's also a part of the learning and the growth and the wisdom we walk with going forward. So when we have these moments and these things and these ideas that come up, and then they shake us from the beginning to the end, and then all of a sudden you're sitting there one day and going, oh my God, how the heck did I get here? And what is going on? And so then at that same time, there's another planet that comes in, and Neptune governs your dreams, your illusions, your spirituality. And that dissolving of what is no longer real happens during this period, though. it also helps us dissolve the illusions of that we've been carrying, the illusions of what life is supposed to be, and the life we thought we would fulfill, that would fulfill us, suddenly feels empty. My store, it was my dream for many years, and unfortunately, there came a moment where it just was not healthy for me anymore. It was not good for my body, my mind, my soul. We were getting broken into. All of these things were happening, and it was really for me to learn all sorts of stuff. The one thing I did say during that time is I learned that I got lessons I wouldn't have got any other way, and not that I would wish them on anybody, but sometimes there's lessons you couldn't buy, you couldn't pay for. There's no way to. Don't get me wrong, I paid for them. That you couldn't buy in any other way than allowing life to happen. That's kind of what happened in that time. So this around the mid 40s, we start coming into Saturn, and Saturn comes in and it forms an opposition to, that moment of when we were born, and we start to go, okay, what do I want for my life? This is not it. This was my youthful dream. This was all of these ideas and fantasies and fallacies and all of this stuff that you think it's going to be white picket fences, castles, men on white horses. All this energy all of a sudden is totally gone. Your youth is gone. And I was sitting at 40 totally world upside down, pull the blanket over my head, go, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. And the best thing was, it was great, because the only thing I could do was, from the wreckage, start building my life over. And literally my world collapsed around me. Nothing that made sense before was still there after the storm, so to speak. And it pushed me into a world of getting in touch with my spirituality, with my emotional body, with my meditation aspects. It took me back into schooling and becoming a reverend and a priestess, and all of these aspects of myself, to go really deep into myself, to go, who the hell are you and what do you want for your life? Because you've done all of the things you thought you wanted. You did all of the things you were told you weren't to have. You've done all of the things that weren't good for you. You've done all of these things. And now you're sitting here going, well, now what? None of those things brought me the joy I thought they would. None of those things brought me into a world that I thought was going to empower me, or any of that. Now, don't get me wrong. All of those things did help me do that. But in the reality of those things, there's also I got a deeper understanding of who I was. So then when I stepped back and went, okay, I've lost my home, my business, my children have all moved, everything has shifted and changed, and the dynamics of our whole world have just blown up. The tower has crumbled. Now, what am I doing? There's a moment for every one of us that this transit confronts us with our truth. It brings awareness of time passing, of aging parents, of changing in our own bodies, and the question of what truly matters for the years ahead. Saturn asks us the most honest question in astrology. Is the life you have built actually sustainable and meaningful? Beneath all of this, and another deeper force is at work, because we got Pluto, and Pluto, which they keep telling us isn't important. Let me tell you, astrologically, huge importance. Beneath all of this, there's that deep Pluto at work. It governs transformation, shadow work, psychological rebirth. During this stage of life, Pluto often forms a powerful square in its natal position, pushing us to confront the deeper layers of ourselves. And these parts we've suppressed, the wounds we've avoided, the truth that we may have been afraid to face starts bubbling up, and you can't look away from it anymore. You can't get away from it. There's no way to remove yourself, because it's in you and it just comes around everywhere you go. So you're having to deal with it. And when you look at all of these cycles together, something fascinating appears. So there's this space of Uranus wants liberation, and Neptune dissolves the illusion, and then Saturn confronts the reality, and Pluto demands transformation. So it's not surprising that people often feel like this is a crisis moment. But really what it is to shake you up, to confront you, to ask you, half your life is over. And for some of us, more than half over. Some of us not so much, but it is that, for most of us, that halfway point. So if this first half you built all of the systems and the patterns and all of that stuff, what are you doing now as you move into the second half of your life? Where does that authenticity, that truth within yourself start to show up? So, for me, it was, I had to let go of what everybody else thought, what everybody else wanted, what everybody else was thinking. Burn, crash, collapse, fall into myself, and then find a way forward, find a way to, and with that, it started with, I went to meditation classes. Funny, I'm now a meditation teacher. On several different levels. So it's really beautiful that the things that healed me are now the things that I use to help heal others, to give them as tools so that they can help, work through their stuff and their crap. So I am now a thresholder for people that are doing the same thing I did and needing someone to hold and support them as they go through. And I had to go through all of those things of opening my business, closing my business, understanding a business at that magnitude, the ones that are literally, mortal and pestle kind of aspects of tangible store into a store which became, and through that, even during that time of having my store, using that understanding and using that energy to where I was even going, to have deep, honest, open conversations about the most intimate things possible, allowed me to go into helping people move through trauma, to move through chaos and all of these things. So I'm now, hold space for midlife. It's basically, people come to me from the ages of, 38 to 58, so to speak, at these two times, like these years of, that is nothing but transition. From the time we hit 38 to the time we hit 60, we are in planetary shift. It's actually incredible. There's so much growth that happens during the first 30 years of our life, about, stepping into truth and all of those things. But it's not our truth. It's usually somebody else's truth. So then we hit 40 and we come into I'm really getting whited out. Sorry here, guys. You're really getting to see a part of my house, YouTube. So there comes this point where everything starts to feel really off. There we go. And we start to collapse and create. So during this shifting time, there's a threshold between the life you thought you wanted and the life that is truly yours. And the life you thought you wanted, you actually needed some of those lessons so that you could get to where you are now to move forward. So instead of being a midlife crisis, call it a midlife initiation, the threshold between what was and what will be. So when we go through this time, now sitting here 13 years later, and believe me, sorry peoples, but the truth is there's kind of a 13-year cycle that happens of you transitioning, changing, growing, moving, and dissolving old aspects to move into new aspects of truth. So during this cycle aspect that, there's many, I would say most of the workings nowadays are for people over the age of 40, really coming into themselves and their truth and all those things, because we didn't understand it to the psychological truth that we understand it now. And before, it was all about survival. We're no longer wanting to sit in survival. We're wanting to sit and thrive, not just survive. So how do we thrive in life? Well, the only way to thrive in life is to start moving through these transitional moments, acknowledging all of these big aspects that actually happen, to acknowledge and educate people so that They don't divorce, lose their mind, go through crazy, that they understand that this is a time of transition, especially when you and your partner are about the same age and you're transitioning through the same things. So your worlds are breaking down and you're looking at everything going, oh my God, is this it? Is this all I've got? This is who I'm going to be looking at across the table for the next 40 years to go, whoa, 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 whoa. I promise you, that person you see today is not going to be the same person you're sitting across the table, good, bad, or ugly. That person is going to change as you change. So there's these two spiraling aspects of people changing and growing and all of these things at the same time. You're having these midlife crises, which is actually an awakening into your own truth of what do you truly want for yourself going forward? What would be best? And the thing is during this time, so often we don't understand it. We're not talking about it. We're not sharing our experiences because we've been told to put it under the carpet. Don't share your stuff. Don't put everything out there. And then at the same time, everybody putting everything out there on, all of these social media spots, but not putting out the truth because they're putting out either the worst parts of humanity. Oh my God, oh, woe is me. Or they're putting out these superficials of look at how amazing my life is. And so you don't really know what is true. It's either everything is awful or everything is amazing to go, actually, both are always true. It is ebb and flow between the two of them. We can get into this. Like yesterday, I was in this, why is everything going so crappy? My, cuff gets caught, my coffee spills, I drop this, something breaks to go, everything to go, the common denominator in this scenario, it was me. So maybe my bad energy was pulling that towards me. That bad energy is about me needing to shift and go into my best self. That's kind of what happens at the age of around 38 to 42. You start going, what's wrong with me? What is wrong with everybody around me? What is going on with me? And then you start going, this is not the world I want. This is not the life I want. And unfortunately, we start looking around at everything externally to us instead of looking at it internally and going, what do I need to be better? What do I need to let go of to come into my best self? What do I need to do in order to align best with the life I'm wanting? And talking to our partners and going, hey, did you know that at this time in our lives, this is where midlife happens and crisis happens and all of this chaos and relationships break down and divorces happen and all of that. And I don't want that to happen. So let's make sure we're talking and conversing and all of these things. That is why I do what I do. That is why I'm sharing what I am sharing. So understand, all of these things happen at around the age of 38 to 42, which is the window we're looking at today. Anyway, so when you do look at this point and you realize where you've been and where you're going and all of those things, it's a much easier understanding once we understand actually where we are at. It's so weird. I got two cameras going and they both feel a little off today. That's okay. This too will pass. I will get into a good flow and we'll just keep getting this going better and better. I promise you as we go. So what I want you to understand is that at the point for everybody, there's a 5-year shift where people really lose their mind and things around you really go crazy. So if you are anywhere between the ages of 38 to 42, understand this is the big catalyst for you to step into your truth. And it's about a 13-year progress of stepping deeper and deeper into who you are so that by the time you get to the 50, 51 stage where you hit your wounded healer aspect, you actually have done a lot of the work already so that when that comes up, there's a beautiful threshold that you walk through knowing you've done the work to where you are today to move through to where you are going. So that happens at around 50. And I'll share with you tomorrow what that looks like. So anyway, I hope you guys have a fabulous day and stay tuned for another talk with Midlife Talks with Cassandra B tomorrow at 1 o'clock. Anyway, have a beautiful day and I'll see you tomorrow. Oh, I know, doing 2 cameras at once and stream.